Hello, hello. It is time for the December daily project in 2022. I've already done one video for the playlist, and that is showing this kit, which doesn't include the cards, this plain cardstock. It includes the graphic 45 papers. I am using this for my December daily. You do not have to have one, although I do have some of these in my shop. You just need to be able to have any kind of notebook that can hold 8-inch tall papers, or you need to download the attached hole guide here. I have a 2-hole, 3-hole, and 4-hole punch guides down below underneath this video that you can add to your download notebook from all the downloads I've been giving you. Now, the first thing I like to do when I'm getting ready is to empty all these things into something where I can see what I have. So I thought this time I would use this. It's from scrapbook.com, and it's a plastic container. It has what can be considered a lid or another tray, or you could put it in the bottom and you could use the tab dividers that come with it, and you could put your stamps in there. But I thought that right now I would use it to put in all my ephemera and my card pieces. And if I find something bigger, I will probably switch over to that. What I like is to be able to flip around and kind of see what I have here. And what I might do, come to think of it, is just put the ephemera pieces in top, because I think I want them separate from everything else. So that might work out for me. I like to keep this because I could look at a glance and see what all is included in there. Because sometimes, you know, it's hard to just flip through and see everything that's included. And these are the journaling cards. I will put those in there. Save this as well. Put that in the very bottom, that there. So now that I've got that, the other thing I want to do to get ready is to take a couple of these sheets and cut them up because they are journaling cards. So we see like we've got that. We've got 2 of each, so I can afford to take one out of each one that I want to cut up. Here's the other one. I knew I had 2 in there. These are the 2, so I think what I might do is cut part of those up and make them more usable right now, so I don't have to keep stopping in the middle of my project to take care of those. So I'm going to trim that up. And then I see I need to trim this up. Okay, we have a nice strip here. That will go in here. And then sometimes you can't just cut straight across, so what I'll do is I need to cut this off the bottom. There we go. Now I can cut down. And this one has another little strip on the bottom that can be used. Let's just cut across here. As long as I get it somewhat cut up, I can leave parts of these to cut up later. See, I can leave these. I can hand cut those. I think I'll cut one of these up. Another thing about not cutting every single thing up is you might want to put these just like they are. So there's the thought there. You might want to keep them all connected. Okay, I see I've got strips here. Okay, the next thing is these. These are all strips at the bottom. I'll leave those. I might want to cut them apart. I don't know. But now these strips come off next. There we go. And this comes next. It's just so much easier for me. Now see, this has a Joy to the World strip, and if I cut it off, I will lose it. I could leave it attached to these 2, or I could leave it attached to this. I'll just leave it the way it is. I could find what I'm looking for that way. I see now I have a great way of flipping in here and seeing what I have. I could also put the stamps in there that were part of the limited kits that I had available. The difference between what I'm doing is that I have a pre-made cover. Okay, I'm going to save the warm wishes. This really stuck out to me. I'll see if I can save that for later. And I have all the stamps stickers as well. And I could cut these down even more. If you've ordered from me, you will know that when I ship these, I can ship these easier if I cut this down. It's so that this strip here is 8 1/4. It'll still fit in your journal, and then cut right through the middle of the rest of the stickers so that I can ship it easier. So because I have, and I might want to use this for something. Let me turn all the pretty side out. Because I have a cover already, It would be a different project if I starting with day one, when I know we all need a cover for our journal. And so I want to do the first page is actually like a cover page. And it can be the first page in here that's not actually day one, like day 0, or it could be the cover of your journal. If you are going to use this first page for your cover of your journal, I strongly advise you to do eyelets in the holes, and that way you can make sure that it's not going to tear when you put rings in it. And I see we have these, and this would make a really pretty cover. The only thing you need to consider is this is what your back is going to be. So if you're using this, make sure that this is which side you want this to be. So if this is the cover, when you turn it, you're going to have this. And if you don't want to see that, or you could just figure out how to decorate around that. These are 8-inch pages, and that's what we're doing. And then they need to be 4 3/4 inch wide. So let's see how we can fit that in here. This could be a good cover of your journal. But if we did that, we would want something to tone it down. Let's look here and choose something big. Like that. Something vertical that would draw attention, and what you see all around here is really pretty, but it's not distracting. You're not even going to see what that is. And this leaves, we would probably mount this on something black to get that up off of there. So pretty. And then this, we have a nice fresh page to work with. So let's get that cut down first. So that's always the first step, is to cut our paper. So we're doing, that's going to be 8, but we need to cut 4 3/4 in. So I'm going to do this. And that is our page. It works perfectly. Look at that. But one thing I always recommend is to make sure that you get your holes in there pretty soon before you decorate, because that way you're not decorating over the holes. So I'm using this to cut my holes. And this is actually made to center on an 8 1/4 inch paper. This is 8, so I'm actually going to have it. It's a little shorter at the top. And so now I have my holes, and you can use the hole guide that I gave you. And now we've got this, which is going to be perfect. But I'm thinking that what we also need to do, because this is busy, that's busy, we need to kind of offset this and put it on some solid cardstock. The other thing you can do to check it out what you like is to kind of give it a little bit of frame here and see what you think. Too bright, maybe? So that's the best way to check it out, is to see what you want as an accent. What I'm seeing is that this red and that red, not good together. So let's look at the black and see how that's going to look. And I think that actually in this case works really well. And this is kind of warped. I don't know why that's so warped. So let me grab the glue tube and get that set up. Oh, isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, I have such a hard time with this. Look at this. It might be that this is better yet. I love the whole thing, but when you look at this, and this just dripped here. When you look at this, this helps tone down the busyness of this, and I think I kind of like that better. So now let's look at this again. Let's revisit this color scheme here. And I think I'm really liking the green. So let's do that. I like all of these cards. They are amazing. Now keep in mind, if you're going to stamp something on this, you'll need to do that before we adhere this. I'm putting this on there, giving myself a little bit of room. The reason I like this card is because it's going to give us room to put like the year, because it's good to have the year on these. Now I am using, you could trim this down with your paper trimmer. I'm using these layering guides. They give me the ability to get the perfect edge on there if I'm careful. You know, I'm clumsy, I know. So let's look and see. Let's try the 3/8. Is that? I didn't give myself much room, so let's see how much. Oops, I did. I just said I'm clumsy, and I just did. I messed up. So I'm going to hold this down. The problem was I wasn't holding down. So now what I have on the back, I have 2 cuts right there. So I'll show you how to handle that. The important thing is I stopped cutting as soon as I realized I was going off track. I wasn't pushing down hard enough, and so you see what happened here, right there. And again, I'll show you how to fix that. Push down with the left hand. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to tape that back in place, holding it in place, and I'm just taping like that, and then I will come trim that tape off. The other option is you can always put something right there, some ephemeris, and we probably still will, to cover that up a little bit. You wouldn't see it unless you were looking for it, so that's good. Okay, let's put all this paper aside. Now we have this. Oh, it's so pretty. Now, for the year, you can handwrite the year. You can use dies, number dies. You can get on your computer, and you can write out 2022 or whatever you want to say. Print it out, cut it out, and put it on there like a piece of ephemera. Now this is too big, but what I'm looking for is something small that we could put maybe right here between these two holes. Season's greetings will help to kind of hide that without being too obnoxious, and I think that's actually going to be pretty good. I think something red is what we need. So we're going to mount this. It's up to you if you want to put this on foam. If this is your cover, I would recommend not putting it on foam, because it's kind of good to have the cover as flat as possible, or at least as stable as possible. Again, up to you. And then you might want to be looking around in your Christmas embellishments and seeing if there's anything else that you want to put on here. Something frosty would be really pretty. Something to put on these little berries. You might put some Nouveau drops on the berries. These are really pretty, and these are distress stickles that could go right on the berries, and I think I will do that. So I'm going to leave this nice and flat. But I do want to use a die, number die, to put 2022 on there. Okay, now I'm using these dies here that are from the, see, this is the Planner Essentials 37 Letters and Numbers from Elizabeth Craft, and I believe I still have some of those in my shop. Now, I, in the past, have always just limited myself in thinking, oh, whenever you do letters and numbers, they had to be in solid cardstock. And you know who's inspired me to go beyond that is Annette Green. I'm going to give you a link to her channel down below. She is really got a great eye for design, and it's really helped me to reach beyond and do the patterned cardstock. And isn't that pretty? If you really think it's not popping out enough, you can always use some distress, sometimes like on the edges, and sometimes I take some and I will just do like the very bottoms, like a shadow. You know, anyway, it's really fun, and you have these lines here so you can get them lined up right. If you don't have lines and you're concerned about getting it straight, purposely offset them like this, and then no one can tell that you didn't get them lined up right. So first, let's get this on there. And many, many times I have printed things out on my computer and use those numbers. And you will notice also underneath this video, I'm giving you a link to my prior year's handout that are numbers. They're in circles and in squares. And you can use those for the daily countdown. So day 1, day 2, etc. They will all be on there. And you can print those out on your colored cardstock or your white cardstock. And then you can use those every day or whatever numbering system you want. So there's 2022. I think that is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. And so I can hardly see where my holes are here, but I think I will use a hole reinforcement. Now I have hole reinforcement dies, and I have some in my shop. I noticed that they are out of kit set 1 on their website, but I think I have set 1 and 2 still in my shop, and I know that they have announced that they are coming out with another one. And I'm looking at, I don't want a flower, and I think I need something very petite and kind of understated, because this is pretty wide actually. So I don't want something that sticks way in like this, but I will go with this one here, and I will use a solid color. Okay, so I got those cut out, and I backed them up on a double-sided tape first. you'll end up with these little circles on the inside. And I like to keep those because they are great embellishments. They could even go in the middle of these berries there. Oh, doesn't that just perk the project up right away? Sometimes you don't even need hole reinforcers, but they are so beautiful. And again, if you're using a 2, 3, or 4 hole punch and book rings, I just recommend you either do hole reinforcements or you use, go ahead and put eyelets in there. Another thing you can do is to take something like this or Nuvo drops, trace the inside of the circle if you have a solid hand, steady hand, and then that way it would be, when it's dried, it'd be really well reinforced. The reason I wanted those first is because this might overlap that just a little bit, and it does, just a pinch. I think this is going to come all the way to the end here. So let's get this glued in here. I'm trying to put this so it's balanced vertically up and down. I'm lining it right up on the right side, right here on the right edge, so it's barely over those hole reinforcers right there. And now we have these words here. We've got words down below. We have some good background going on. And I still want this right there. I'm going to do the same thing again and just give it a little bit of distressing on the bottom only. And there you go. And again, you could put this up on foam tape if you wish. This is going to do a couple things. It's going to take the focus away from the fact that I messed up on my cutting over there, and it's going to secure that down as well so it doesn't fall apart, in other words. Okay, so that is beautiful. Now, I could use the hole reinforcer centers, these, and put those over the berries, or I could use these, and I think I will. And then we will set that aside and let that dry. I'm going to use those little strips that we cut off. The strips that we cut off, and there we go. And if you want, you can add other berries in there that aren't even in the image. There we go. That's very pretty. It just adds a little bit of perk. Now, it depends on how much shine and gloss and whatever you want on your project, but I think that adds to it. Very pretty. Let's do one more thing. We have a perfect spot here for all these stamps, and so I thought that might be a good thing to do, to put a stamp on there. Wow, what a shame. I think that would have been a great design aspect for them to have a vertical stamp somewhere in one of these. Like some of these would have been so perfect. And it still might work. Let me look. You really can't tell because it's tall enough that it's actually filling that in. So you can do that if you want. You can cover up that little stamp thing right there with one of these stamps, and it is perfect. And it's got the little bird that we've got down here, the cardinal. Okay, isn't that lovely? Now, we are going to let this dry. We have to before we flip over and actually do day one. This is just our cover page and us getting ready for getting everything organized and getting our downloads all set, and you will be good to go. So I hope that gave you some ideas and got your cover page ready. And thank you so much for watching. This is going to be a fun and beautiful project this year.